Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Those who want to read may raise their hands. So, yeah. And this is where we have to start from in order to. And yes, so this is, yeah. Uh, so we have only two participants who have raised their hand, Shweta and Rashimata ji. Shweta first. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In order to observe the great ceremony, many wives of the demigods had come in different airplanes and they were visible in the sky. Similarly, the queens of the royal family, gorgeously decorated and surrounded by bodyguards, arrived on different palanquins. During this time, Lord Krishna, the maternal cousin of the Pandavas, and his special friend Arjuna were both throwing the liquid substance on the bodies of the queens. The queens became bashful, but at the same time, their beautiful smiling brightened their faces. Because of the liquids thrown on their bodies, the saris covering them became completely wet. The different parts of their beautiful bodies, particularly their breast and their waist, became partially visible because of the wet cloth. The queens brought buckets of the same liquid substances and with syringes sprinkled them on the bodies of their brothers in law. And as they engaged in such jubilant activities, their hair fell loose and the flowers decorating their bodies began to fall. When Lord Krishna, Arjuna, and the queens were thus engaged in these jubilant activities, persons who were not clean in heart were agitated by lustful desires. In other words, such behavior between pure males and females is enjoyable, but it makes persons who are materially contaminated become lustful. King Yudhishthira, in a gorgeous chariot yoked to excellent horses, was present there along with his queens, including Draupadi, and their features were so beautiful that it appeared as if the great Rajasuya sacrifice were standing there in person, along with the different functions of the sacrifice. Following the Rajasuya sacrifice, there was the Vedic ritualistic duty known as Patni Samyaj. This sacrifice, which one performs along with one's wife, was also duly conducted by the priest of King Yudhishthira. As Queen Draupadi and King Yudhishthira were taking their bath in the citizens of Hastinapur as well as the demigods began to beat on drums and blow trumpets out of feelings and of happiness. And there was a shower of flowers from the sky. When the king and the queen finished their bath in Ganges, all the other citizens, consisting of all the varnas or castes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, took their baths in Ganges. Bathing in the Ganges is recommended in the Vedic literatures because by such bathing one is freed from all sinful reactions. This is still current in India, especially at particularly auspicious moments. At such times, millions of people bathe in Ganges. After taking his bath, King Yudhishthira dressed in new silken cloth and wrapped and decorated himself with valuable jewelry. The king not only dressed himself and decorated himself, but also gave clothing and ornaments to all the priests and the others who had participated in the yajna. In this way, he worshipped them all. He constantly worshipped his friends, his family members, his relatives, his well wishers, and everyone present. And because he was a Vaishnava, a great devotee of Lord Narayana, he knew how to treat everyone well. The Mayavadi philosophers endeavor to see everyone as God is an artificial attempt to at oneness. But a Vaishnava or a devotee of Lord Narayana sees every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a Vaishnava's treatment of other living entities is on the absolute platform, as one cannot treat one part of his body differently from another part because they all belong to the Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Uh,
Same body.
belong to the same body. A Vaishnava does not see a human being as distinct from an animal because in both he sees the soul and the super soul seated together.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna. We saw two very beautiful concepts, two very beautiful ideas, two very beautiful approaches to life. I mean, look at this. Uh, uh, on one aspect, we have materialistic vision, materialistic ways of looking at things, and second, we have spiritual ways of looking. Please understand, when we have materialistic mindset, hmm, uh, look at this. Let me show you. So, if we have materialistic mindset, please try and understand. We have this very bad kind of mind which would see things wrong way, right? Now, please understand. Even when right is going on, because you have a materialistic mind, you would think wrong. Let me give you an example. Suppose you see something which is not regular, right? You saw something which is not regular. A spiritual mind would see that something is wrong. I'm not able to understand. Yeah. A pure mind would see that this is wrong, which is there, and because of that, the reaction is this. But a materialistic mind would not understand. A materialistic mind would think that this world is perfect. It has never seen anything perfect. Your materialistic mind, my materialistic mind, has never seen anything perfect. But it would see, it would think as if everything out here is perfect. And why this thing is not happening? Why there is an anomaly? There has always been anomaly. Life has never been without anomalies. This is reality. But materialistic mind would not understand this. Yeah, this is Maya. So every good thing would turn bad if you have a materialistic mind. On the other hand, if you have a spiritual mind, everything bad would turn good. Right? How? He would see everyone. Right? Everyone. A spiritual mind would see everyone in connection with Krishna. So you see that many people are fighting. I belong to this religion, I belong to that religion, right? There could not be any fight. If you have a spiritual mind, you cannot fight. If you have a spiritual mind, you cannot do anything wrong. A spiritual mind can never do anything wrong. A spiritual mind is always pure. Because it is servant of Krishna, it cannot do anything wrong. And by any chance, because we have this mental speculation ability, na? There's one Guruji who is very pure, who talks about Krishna all the time, and I saw him doing something wrong. Look, if something like this happened, you saw something wrong, it means just two things. One, your vision was incorrect. You were not able to see things correctly. He did something right and you saw something wrong. Many a times it has happened that something right is going on and you see something wrong in that. Right? It has happened, right? There could be another aspect to this. Although we should not look at that aspect, but I'm showing that aspect as well so that you understand that please throw this out of your brain that any spiritual mind can do anything wrong. So that is a very pure devotee and he did something wrong. Now just tell me one thing. Is Krishna sitting silent? Is Krishna not seeing each and everything? Do you think Krishna is just sitting idly? Yeah? His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada says, just a minute. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna does not sit idly. Krishna is concerned about his devotees. Krishna cannot see anything wrong happening to his devotees. So when you say that something wrong is happening, please try and understand Krishna is watching that as well. Anything wrong happening, Krishna is watching. You are able to see or not, that is your concern. Your vision is incorrect, that is your concern. Krishna is watching each and everything. There's nothing left from the vision of Krishna. Yeah. So please try and understand. Even if that person who's a pure devotee does something wrong, Krishna would make it correct. Can anyone answer why Krishna would make this devotee's wrong into right? Why Krishna would correct this mistake? Krishna would personally come and correct this mistake, or send his messenger and correct this mistake. Why? Huh? Krishna would personally see to it that the wrong is undone. Huh? Why? Why would Krishna take this special care for this one? Is he being partial? Is he supporting the wrong person? Because he says that I am a devotee and he does something wrong, and Krishna comes and supports him. Yeah. Why would Krishna come and make his wrong into right? Why? No answer. Yes. Correct. Krishna says that when anyone surrenders to him, Krishna takes special care of them. Krishna takes care of each and everyone who surrenders onto Krishna. So if anyone has surrendered, anyone has taken the lotus feet of Krishna as his only goal in his life, now who would save him? Suppose you are a toddler, 2-year-old, and you are walking. While walking, you fell down. Who would save you? Your parents would, because they have taken charge of you. Now Krishna says, I would take charge of you if you surrender onto me. So anyways, this way or that way or that way or that way, a pure devotee cannot do anything wrong. Work of pure devotee is always spiritual. It cannot be material. It cannot be on this plane. Anyone who is doing devotional service onto Krishna would always do spiritual work. And that's why we should take special care of devotees. Yes, always, without exception. So yeah, I'm reading the answer from one of the devotees' message. Because devotees are fully surrendered onto Krishna. Also, he mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving promise in Bhagavad Gita. So this is Krishna's promise. Krishna would take care of us. So that is for Krishna to see. Now for you and me to see, we just have to see this part. That yeah, Krishna would take care, and we have to do our bhakti, and for rest, Krishna would see. Yeah. So let me continue. I do not see any hand raised except Rashi Mataji. So let me continue first. Anshika is there? Okay. Hare Krishna, Anshika.
Hare Krishna. When everyone was refreshed after bathing and was dressed in silken clothing with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, long wrappers, and pearl necklace, they looked altogether like the demigods from heaven. This was especially true of the women who were very nicely dressed. Each wore a golden belt around the waist. They were all smiling with spots of tilaka and curling hair scattered here and there. This combination was very attractive. Those persons who had participated in the Ratsya sacrifice, including the most cultured priests, the Brahmanas who had assisted the citizens of all the Varnas, and the kings, demigods, sages, sons, and citizens of Pitraloka were all very much satisfied by the dealings of King Yudhishthira. And at the end, they happily departed for their residence, while, while much satisfied by the dealings. While returning to their homes, they talked of the dealing of King Yudhishthira, and even after continuous talk of this greatness, they were not satisfied. Just as one
Satiated.
may
Satiated
just
means
satiated.
uh, when you eat, right? Suppose we are eating. Suppose you want 4 chapatis and you get 2 chapatis, right? Your hunger is not satiated. It is not satisfied. Your hunger is not satisfied. Your hunger is not done with. So that is satiated. Yeah.
Just as one may drink nectar over and over again and never be satisfied. After the departure of all the others, Maharaj Yudhishthir restrained the inner circle of his friends, including Lord Krishna, not allowing them to leave. Lord Krishna could not refuse the request of the king. Krishna therefore sent back all the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, Samba and others. All of them returned to Dwarka, and Lord Krishna personally remained to give pleasure to the king. In the material world, everyone has a particular type of desire to be fulfilled, but one is never able to fulfill his desire to his full satisfaction. But King Yudhishthira, because of his unflinching devotion to Krishna, could fulfill all his desires successfully by the performance of the Ratsaya sacrifice. From the description of the Ratsaya Yajna, such a function appears to be a great ocean of opulent desires. Such an ocean is not possible for an ordinary man to cross. Nevertheless, by the grace of Lord Krishna, King Yudhishthira was able to cross it very easily, and thus he became freed from all anxieties. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So look. Whatever your status may be, you may be highly elevated, you may be having a lot of material desires or anything or anything or anything. Just do worship onto Krishna. Just surrender onto Krishna. Krishna would take care. Generally, we should not be worshipping for material desires, but again, if you have desires, then you should be worshipping only to Krishna, because then you have a possibility that you would get elevated and someday you would worship like your material desires is no more, and then you would be able to elevate yourself to the platform of Krishna Loka. When Duryodhana saw that Maharaj Yudhishthir had become very famous after performing the Rajasuya Yagna and was fully satisfied in every aspect, he began to burn the fire of envy, because in his mind he was always poisonous. For one thing, he envied the imperial palace constructed by the demon Maya for the Pandavas. The palace was excellent in its puzzling artistic workmanship and was befitting the position of the great princes, kings, or leaders of the demons. In that great palace, the Pandavas lived with their family members, and Queen Draupadi served uh, uh, her husbands very peacefully. And because in those days Lord Krishna was also there, the palace was also decorated by these thousands of queens. When these queens with the heavy breast and thin waist moved within the palace, and their ankle bells rang very melodiously with their movements, the whole palace appeared more opulent than the heavenly kingdom, because a portion of their breast was sprinkled with saffron powder, the pearl necklace, and on their breast appeared reddish. With their beautiful earrings and flowing hair, the queen appeared very attractive. After seeing such beauties in the palace of King Yudhishthira, Duryodhana was envious. He was especially envious and lustful upon seeing the beauty of Draupadi, because he had cherished a special attraction for her from the very beginning of her marriage with the Pandavas. In the marriage selection assembly of Draupadi, Duryodhana had also been present, and along with other princes, he had been very much captivated by the beauty of Draupadi, but he had failed to achieve that. Once upon a time, King Yudhishthira was sitting on his golden throne in the palace constructed by the demon Maya. His four brothers and other relatives, as well as the great well-wisher Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, were present, and the material opulence of King Yudhishthira seemed no less than that of Lord Brahma. When he was sitting on the throne surrounded by his friends, and the reciters were offering prayer to him in the form of nice songs, Duryodhana came to the palace with his younger brother. Duryodhana was decorated with a helmet, and he carried the sword in his hand. He was always in an envious and in angry mood, and therefore on a slight provocation he spoke sharply with the doorkeepers and became angry. By the craftsmanship of the demon Maya, the palace was so decorated uh, uh, in different places that one who did not know the tricks could consider water to be land and land to be water. Duryodhana was illusioned by the craftsmanship, and when crossing the water, thinking it to be land, he fell in. When Duryodhana, out of his foolishness, had fallen, the queen enjoyed the incident by laughing. King Yudhishthira could understand the feeling of Duryodhana, and he tried to restrain the queens, but Lord Krishna indicated that King Yudhishthira should not restrain them from enjoying the incident. Krishna desired that Duryodhana be fooled in that way, and that all of them enjoy his foolish behavior. When everyone laughed, Duryodhana felt very insulted, and his bodily hairs stood up in anger. Being thus insulted, he immediately left the palace, bowing his head. He was silent and did not protest. When Duryodhana left in such an angry mode, everyone regretted the incident, and King Yudhishthira uh, was was very sorry. But despite all these occurrences, Krishna was silent. He did not say anything against or in favor of the incident. It appeared that Duryodhana had been pulled into illusion by the supreme will of Lord Krishna, and this was the beginning of the enmity between two sects of Kuru dynasty. This appeared to be part of Krishna's plan in his mission to decrease the burden of the world. King Parikshit had inquired from Sukdev Goswami why Duryodhana was not satisfied after the termination of the king of the great Rajsuya sacrifice, and thus it was explained by Sukdev Goswami. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport for the 75th chapter of Krishna, why Duryodhana felt insulted at the end of Rajasuya sacrifice. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, look, every moment you would be given one opportunity to work for Krishna or to work against Krishna. To work for Krishna or to work for Maya. Look, this is material world. And in material world, you would be seeing many material things. Now it is your choice. To see material things, it is not in your choice, but to act upon it It's your choice. After seeing material thing, you can connect them to spiritual world. You can help people connect them to spiritual world. That would be the best service you can do for Krishna, because then you would be preaching words of Krishna, and Krishna says that if you preach words of mine, you become dear to me. So in one hand you can, it is not possible for each and everyone, but on one hand you can transform each and every material thing to a spiritual level, and you can connect each and everyone to that spiritual reality. But suppose there's a vice, means bad habit, or something wrong, something really pathetic, something like uh, drinking cigarette, right? Now, could you think of connecting that to spiritual world? No, right? Uh, so I just said that everything material can be connected spiritually. Now, in the same breath, I'm saying cigarette, can it be connected spiritually? Suppose they're drugs, can it be connected spiritually? Now, for those who are not aware, even medicines are called drugs, but I'm talking about sedative drugs. Yeah, can they be connected spiritually? Can you see direct connection of those drugs with the spiritual world, with Krishna? So there has to be some contradiction, isn't it? On one hand, I'm saying everything material can be connected spiritually. On the other hand, I'm giving you examples which cannot get connected spiritually. There's something wrong. What is wrong? What is missing part? What is the missing part out here? Is anyone able to spot that? On one hand, everything can be connected spiritually. On other hand, we have vices or wrong things which cannot be connected spiritually. Is there anything wrong that I said? Why we are not able to connect? These are two very, very different things. Why we are not able to connect? Yeah, no one. Look, there's very, very simple understanding to this. Now, anything material can be connected spiritually, correct? Now, I'm not able to connect maybe cigarette or sedative drugs or a lot of things spiritually. Yeah. Look, suppose I say, rather, let me not say. Let me say that the owner of this HP laptop, right? I did not say this owner of HP laptop, I am saying HP. So owner of this HP laptop gives a guarantee that whatever is written on the screen, you are able to read. This is my guarantee. Yeah. So whatever pops up on the screen, we can read. But my eyes are very, very bad. On one day, I was not able to read. Is there a problem in HP laptop or the commitment of HP that I would be able to read this? It is written on the screen, but I am not able to read. So is his commitment wrong? Is his commitment wrong? Is he cheating? Look, if I am not able to see, that restraint lies with me. Right? It may or may not be possible. Sometimes it would be possible. that laptop is not opening up, right? You are not able to see anything on the screen. On some other times, it may be that I am not able to read, but everyone is able to read. So if you are not able to connect anything spiritually, no, it is not about four regulative principles. If you are not able to connect anything spiritually, it has to do with your vision. We just now saw, right? Let me show you once again. Yeah, yeah. If you are not able to see, then the problem lies in your vision, not the reality. The reality is that anything written on the laptop you would be able to see. But your vision is such that you are not able to see. Our connection with material world is such that we are not able to see the spiritual things. And vice versa, it is also correct. The contrary of this is also correct. The devotees are such that they are not able to see material world. In fact, I remember, if I'm not able to forget, I think it was His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. No, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. Yeah, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on his website has written that a guru is not able to answer anything on the material platform because he cannot see things materially. He has a spiritual way of looking at things, so he would always be answering from the spiritual platform. Please try and understand. Yeah. So if you are not able to connect anything spiritually, like you are not able to connect a cigarette spiritually, now the problem lies in your vision. It is all parts and parcel of Krishna. Everything is coming. Whatsoever you may see, think is coming from Krishna alone. Yeah. So that's how we end 75th chapter. If anyone has any question, they may ask at 3 p.m. And let's start chapter 76. Those who want to read may raise their hand. Should I start or Shweta, Hare Krishna, would you start?
Hare Krishna. Chapter 76. The battle between Shalv and the members of the Yadu dynasty. While Sukadeva Goswami was narrating various activities of Lord Krishna in playing the role of an ordinary human being, he also narrated the history of the battle between the dynasty of Yadu and a demon of the name Shalv, who had managed to possess a wonderful airship named Sobha. King Shalva was a great friend of Shishupal's. When Shishupal went to marry Rukmini, Salva was one of the members of the bridegroom's party. In the fight between the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty and the kings of the opposite side, Shalva was defeated by the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. But despite his defeat, he made a promise before all the kings that he would in the future rid the whole world of all the members of the Yadu dynasty. Since his defeat in the fight during the marriage of Rukmini, he had maintained within himself an unforgettable envy of Lord Krishna, and he was in fact a fool because he had promised to kill Krishna. Usually, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Usually, such foolish demons take shelter of a demigod like Lord Shiva to execute their ulterior plans, and so in order to get strength, Shiva took refuge at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. He underwent a severe type of austerity during which he would eat no more than a handful of ashes daily. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, is generally very merciful, and he is very quickly satisfied if someone undertakes severe austerities to please him. So, after continued austerities by Shalva for 1 year, Lord Shiva became pleased with him and asked him to beg for the fulfillment of his desire. Shalva begged from Lord Shiva the gift of an airplane which would be so strong that it could not be destroyed by any demigod, demon, human being, Gandharva or Nag, or even any Rakshasa. Moreover, he desired that the airplane be able to fly anywhere and everywhere he would like to pilot it, and be specifically very dangerous and fearful to the dynasty of the Yadus. Lord Shiva immediately agreed to give him the benediction, and Shalva took the help of the demon Maya to manufacture this iron airplane, which was so strong and formidable that no one could crash it. It was a very big machine, almost like a big city, and it could fly so high and at such a great speed that it was almost impossible to see. So there was no question of attacking it. It appeared to be almost covered with darkness, yet the pilot could fly it anywhere and everywhere. Having acquired such a wonderful airplane, Shalva flew it to the city of Dwarka because his main purpose in obtaining the airplane was to attack the city of Yadus, towards whom he maintained a constant feeling of animosity.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A demon would always have this feeling of animosity, enviousness. We saw in last chapter, Duryodhana was having enviousness towards Krishna and Pandavas. In fact, if you offend pure devotees of Krishna, it is worse than offending Krishna also. When they are pure devotees, the word is pure devotees. Yeah, it is worse than offending Krishna. You know why? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that thoughts of pure devotees dwell in my heart. If you are a pure devotee and if someone else is offending you by any way, then uh, the importance is such that we need to reach out to people and tell them about Krishna. Yeah. Yes. Now, very high technological planes were already made at that time. Now people think and say that, oh, we are so advanced. Advanced with what? Whatever planes you are experiencing, it was long before it was there. Hmm? Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes. Anyone who would like to read? Rashimataji, Hare Krishna. Would you like to read? No? Yes, Madhuri.
Krishna Prabhuji. Salva thus attacked the city of Dwarka from the sky, and he also surrounded the city with a large number of infantry. The soldiers on the surface attacked the beautiful spots of the city. They began to destroy the nice parks, the city gates, the palaces, and skyscraper houses, the high walls around the city, and the beautiful spots where people would gather for recreation. While the soldiers attacked on the surface, the airplane began to drop big slabs of stone, tree trunks, thunderbolts, poisonous snakes, and many other dangerous things. Salva also managed to create such a strong whirlwind within the city that all of Dwarka became dark because of within the city that all of Dwarka become.
Let me take it. Salva also managed to create a strong whirlwind. Whirlwind means tufan. This is, what should I say? A storm. Okay. Salva also managed to create a strong whirlwind within the city that all of the Dwarka became dark because of the dust that covered the sky. The airplane occupied by Salva put the entire city of Dwarka into distress equal to that caused by the earth long ago by the disturbing activities of Tripurasura. The inhabitants of Dwarkapuri became so harassed that they were not peaceful for even a moment. The great heroes of Dwarka city, headed by the commandants such as Pradyumna, counteracted the soldiers and the plane of Salva, airplane of Salva. Look, even demons had so much technological advancement at that point in time. When he saw the extreme distress of the citizen, Pradyumna immediately arranged his soldiers and personally got up on a chariot, encouraging the citizens by assuring safety. Following the command, many warriors like Sakaki, Charudeshna, Samba, all young brothers of Pradyumna, as well as Akrura, Kritvarma, Bhanuvinda, Gada, Sukha, and Sarana, all came out of the city to fight with Salva. All of them were Maharathis, great warrior able to fight with thousands of men. All were fully equipped with necessary weapons and assisted by hundreds and thousands of charioteers, elephant, horses, and infantry soldiers. Fierce fighting began between the two parties, exactly like that formerly carried on between the demigods and the demons. The fighting was severe, and whoever observed the fierce nature of the fight felt his bodily hairs standing on end. Pradyumna immediately counteracted the mystic demonstration occasioned by the airplane of Salva. The great king of Sobha, by the mystic power of the airplane, Salva had created a darkness of dense as night. But Pradyumna all of a sudden appeared like the rising sun, as with the rising of the sun, the darkness of the night immediately dissipated with the appearance of Pradyumna. The power exhibited by Salva became null and void. Each of Pradyumna's arrow had a golden feather at the end, and the shaft was fitted with the sharp iron head. By releasing 25 such arrows, Pradyumna severely injured Salva's commander-in-chief and then released another 100 arrows towards the body of Salva. After this, he pierced each and every soldier by releasing one arrow. He killed the chariot drivers by fighting 10 arrows at each one of them, and he killed the carriers like the horses and elephants, and released 3 weapons, releasing 3 arrows directed towards each other. When everyone present in the battlefield saw the wonderful feat of Pradyumna, the great fighter on both parties praised his act of chivalry. But still, the airplane occupied by Salva was very mysterious. It was so extraordinary that sometimes many airplanes would appear to be in the sky, and sometimes there were apparently none. Sometimes the plane was visible and sometimes not visible. And the warrior of the Yadu dynasty were puzzled about the whereabouts of the peculiar airplane. Sometimes they would see the airplane on the ground, sometimes flying in the sky, sometimes resting on the peak of the hill, and sometimes floating in the water. The wonderful airplane flew in the skyline as a whirlwind firebrand. It was not steady even for a moment, but despite the mysterious maneuvering of the airplane, the commanders of the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty would immediately rush towards Salva wherever he was present, and his airplane and soldiers. The arrows released by the dynasty of the Yadus were as brilliant as the sun, and as dangerous as the tongue of the serpent. All the soldiers fighting on behalf of Salva soon became distressed by the incessant release of arrows uh, upon them by the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, and Salva himself became unconscious from the attack of these arrows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's continue. Hare Krishna. Anyone wants to read? Shweta?
Hare Krishna. The soldiers fighting on behalf of Shalva were also very strong, and the release of their arrows also harassed the heroes of the Yadu dynasty. But still, the Yadus were so strong and determined that they did not move from their strategic positions. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were determined either to die on the battlefield or to gain victory. They were confident that if they died in the fighting, they would attain a heavenly planet, and if they came out victorious, they would enjoy the world. The name of Shalva's commander in chief was Duman. He was very powerful, and although bitten by 25 of Pradyumna's arrows, he suddenly attacked Pradyumna with his fierce club and struck him so strongly that Pradyumna became unconscious. Immediately there was a roaring. Now he is dead. Now he is dead. The force of the club of Pradyumna's chest was very severe, and it appeared as though his chest had been torn asunder. Pradyumna's chariot was being driven by the son of Daruka. According to Vedic military principles, the chariot driver and the hero on the chariot must cooperate during the fighting. As such became, it was the duty of the chariot driver to take care of the hero on the chariot during the dangerous and precarious fighting. Daruka's son removed Pradyumna from the battlefield. 2 hours later, in a quiet place, Pradyumna regained consciousness, and when he saw that he was in a place other than the battlefield, he addressed the charioteer and condemned him. Oh, you have done the most abominable act. Why have you removed me from the battlefield? My dear charioteer, I have never heard that any of our family members was ever removed from the battlefield. None of them None of them left the battlefield while fighting, but this removal you have overburdened me with a great defamation. It will be said that I left the battlefield while fighting was going on. My dear charioteer, I must accuse you. You are a coward and emasculator. Tell me, how can I go before my uncle Balrama and my father Krishna, and what shall I say before them? Everyone will talk about me and say that I fled from the fighting place, and if they inquire from me about this, what will be my reply? My sister-in-law will play jokes upon me with sarcastic words. My dear hero, how have you become such a coward? How have you become a inange? How have you become so low in my eyes of the fighters who opposed you? I think, my dear charioteer, that you have committed a great offense by removing me from the battlefield. The charioteer of Pradyumna replied, my dear sir, I wish a long life for you. I think that I did nothing wrong, for it is the duty of the charioteer to help the fighter in the chariot when he is in a precarious condition. My dear sir, you are completely competent in the battlefield, but it is the duty of the charioteer and the warrior to protect each other in a precarious condition. I was completely aware of the regulative principles of fighting, and I did my duty. The enemy all of a sudden struck you with his club so severely that you lost consciousness. You were in a dangerous position, surrounded by your enemies. Therefore, I was obliged to act as I did. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 76th chapter of Krishna, the battle between Shalva and members of the Yadu dynasty.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is 76th chapter. Salva and Pradyumna were fighting, right? So yes, good. Yes, there's nothing much to take home. I mean, there would be a lot of things, but besides that, nothing remarkable to call this. Okay, so done with this. Now Anyone who has any question may ask question, or we would start prayer. Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. Yes, Hare Krishna. We already are 2:57. Okay. Let's do Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. So who would do it? Anyone who has not participated? Hare Krishna. Let me do it. Or Rashi Mataji or Shweta. Hare Krishna, Rashi Mataji. You have never done Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. Rarely have you done, right? Please do.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Sindhubha eva cha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
Patitanam pavanebhyo
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Jai
जय प्रकार की
Jai
गीता की
Jai
भागवतम की
Jai
की
जय
Jai
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण everyone. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. Those who have any question may ask, else we would end. Hare Krishna. Yes. Hare Krishna. I believe no question. Yeah. So let's end then. Thank you everyone for joining in. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.